Welcome to the Art of Classiness podcast, a show where we redefine what it means to be a classy lady. And sometimes it's messy. I'm Robin.
And I'm Deborah, two friends turned classy ladies who are here to discuss life's ups and downs, navigating the complexities of adulthood, and how the gift of friendship is essential to belonging.
Today we're diving into 4 friendship-themed Am I the Asshole stories that will test how far loyalty, honesty, and boundaries can stretch before they snap.
From exes and property drama to lying for love, we're deciding who crossed the line and figuring out what it really means to be a classy friend when things get complicated.
So follow along, give us your feedback, and don't forget to like and subscribe. What's up, classy ladies and gentlemen? Deborah, let's do a check-in. How are you?
Whew, I am good. It has been a jam-packed week. A jam-packed week from just work and kids, but thankfully it was their last baseball game this week. And I'm just so relieved to have a break from my schedule, literally starting at 5 a.m. and not having a minute of rest until about 9:45 at night.
Oof.
Yeah. So having Mondays and Wednesdays back, which were typically when their baseball games were, is just going to be so nice. Because I was making dinners ahead of schedule. Sometimes I'd have to take dinner to the game because the boys would have back-to-back games, or we would just get home super late. And my hat's off for parents who have always had their kids in travel sports or, practices that are every single day. Thankfully my kids aren't old enough for that to be our routine, but it's just a lot. Sport parents do so much. They really do.
Yeah, they absolutely do. It makes sense why my mom wouldn't let me play soccer.
I know. Thank God for my parents that none of us were really athletic in a way that was Mom, take me here. Time for this game over here. It just wasn't a thing. If the bus couldn't take me to a game, they weren't signing me up for that sport. So,
okay.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm very happy about that. But proud of my boys. It was their first time playing baseball. They both did really well and are really interested in it. So they're going to do the spring league too. But I'm just very just very happy to have a little bit more time back in my schedule. And yesterday I could not have been more relieved for the week to be over.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. How about you? What's going on in your world?
A lot. I've been going to Pilates. So I'm proud of myself for just getting into any kind of fitness routine.
Yeah.
Leaving the house. And we went to this farm called Wild Roots last weekend, and I got so much squash. One of them is 16 pounds. I sent you a picture.
Yes.
It's the size of a baby. I was pretending that it was a baby.
Oh, yeah, honestly huge.
Yeah. And then I got these pumpkin pie pumpkins to make homemade pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving, but also to make my own pumpkin spice latte blend.
Yes.
Which I made today and I'm drinking right now.
Oh, good.
And it's freaking delicious.
Oh, fun. That's awesome.
Yeah. So gonna save $8 a day.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm paying for my latte from the coffee shop.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. And that's just fun to expand on something you love, which is obviously getting a tasty little treat. And you can, probably tinker with the recipe a little bit at home and maybe share it with some friends and family over the holidays. That's so awesome.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm doing relatively well.
Well, good. Glad to hear it.
Moving on to our classy convo today. Am I the asshole? We have some really interesting stories of friendship betrayals, getting a little too involved in romantic relationships, and some road rage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm excited to dive into this batch. We're definitely going to be exploring different layers of loyalty and betrayal and what it really means to be classy in complex situations.
Great way to put it. Let's dive in. Let's freaking go.
Okay. Am I the asshole for not letting my best friend have her wedding on my property after being uninvited? One of my 29 male best friends, Carla, not her real name, 31 female, is getting married soon. It's only meant to be a small backyard type of wedding, but they've been planning it for a few months now and originally was supposed to be on my property. They wanted it because it's private, has lots of open space for the reception, a nice view, and the house could be used for them to get ready and stuff. Of course I said yes. She said her fiancé, Rick, not his real name, were very happy. Thing is, Carla and I do have a history. We went out on and off in college, but decided to stay friends. Then I met my wife, we got married, Carla met Rick, and now here they are. Now my wife knows I went out with Carla in college and she didn't care. Carla still went to our wedding and everything. I never knew if Rick was told or not, but it's not my relationship, therefore not my business to say anything, so I never did. Rick found out recently, and not in the best way. Not sure how, but from what I heard from friends is that one mutual friend told him, no idea why, we used to date. Not only that, but apparently Carla said a couple years ago she was still in love with me when she was already dating Rick. Don't have actual confirmation if that's exactly what he was told. All Carla's told me is that Rick was told about our past and he's angry at her for never saying anything. It became quite a drama and I didn't hear from her for over a month until now. She told me they're going to couples counseling and that the wedding is still on. But Rick requested that I not attend. It sucks, but I totally get why he wouldn't be comfortable. Then I asked the obvious question, where are they going to have the wedding then? To my surprise, she said they still wanted it at our place. Rick said so too, and in my mind, I'm going, he doesn't want the guy who dated his fiancée years ago at the wedding, but still wants the wedding at his house. My wife and I are expected to just not be at our home that weekend. And I told Carla no, they're going to have to find someplace else since we're not going to simply leave our home to them for the weekend. Not only for safety reasons, but it just doesn't make sense. Rick doesn't want to be around me and he's not comfortable, but is comfortable enough to have their wedding at my house? They really want their wedding here, though, and because of that, I've been bugged by not only her, but also Rick and some friends who think I'm being a petty asshole for not letting them have the wedding here anymore. Honestly, don't think I am. It just doesn't make sense at all to have to leave our own place for a wedding that we're no longer welcome to and leaving our home totally vulnerable. Still, being accused of sabotaging their wedding, and Rick believes that it's the least I can do after everything. Am I the asshole?
This is quite the double standard.
Huge double standard.
Okay, Carla,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, maybe you shouldn't have told your fiancé that at one point you still had feelings for this friend.
Right.
That was stupid.
That was dumb.
And second, if you are maintaining contact with OP, you should have told Rick from the get-go. Like, hey, just so you know, we used to date on and off, but like totally not a thing anymore. You know, he's happily married, completely platonic.
Right.
Like a lot of these issues could have been solved by her being open from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand Rick being upset, but the fact that they still want to use OP's house as a venue, that's fucked up.
It's just so rude. And for her to not only wait so long to tell her fiance, like, hey, my guy friend and I that you know, and like, we used to date and I kind of had lingering feelings for a little bit. To wait until after your fiance has agreed to get married on that person's property is also insane. It feels like you just waited a little too long. You should have had that conversation before deciding, like, this is where we're going to have the wedding. Because Rick's feelings are valid.
Yeah.
That, you know, I'm uncomfortable with this. I think any fiance, bride or groom, your biggest nightmare is that the person either walking down the aisle or waiting for you at the aisle is thinking, what if it was supposed to be somebody else?
Yeah.
That lingering like, uh-oh, am I making the right decision? Did I make the right choice? That was like my biggest fear, right? So I can understand Rick knowing this information, being uncomfortable having a continuing friendship or having Carla be still friends with the poster. But she waited to this point of almost no return, right?
Yeah.
And you can't have one without the other. Like, you do have to throw the baby out with the bathwater in this situation, you know?
Throw the baby out?
Have you ever heard that phrase? That's a phrase.
No.
Oh, yeah.
You just throwing the baby away?
That is the whole premise of the phrase. It's like, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, just because the bathwater's bad doesn't mean you get rid of the baby too,
Oh.
But in this case, the baby's got to go. And that baby is the poster and the wedding venue, apparently.
Yeah. And I would argue, if you feel unsure about your fiance's feelings for someone else, you just shouldn't be getting married.
Right.
Like, you need to be 100%
I know.
certain that this is someone you want to marry. And sounds like someone is feeling insecure, which is legitimate. But again, that's not OP's problem. And if you're trying to uninvite them from the wedding on their own fucking property, that is so shitty. That is so shitty. I would end that friendship too.
Right.
You know what, Carla? Get married somewhere else. Enjoy your life. Like, we're done.
Yeah, the fact that Carla is like, is it cool? Like, she has no sense of boundaries at all. She has no sense of where her loyalty lies. I feel badly for Carla because it feels like she's being jerked around and she's trying to please everybody, right? Except for obviously the poster who's getting totally taken advantage of. I mean, if I were the poster, I would say, you can get married here, but it ain't gonna be for free.
Yes.
This was a kind friendship gesture. Now that you're telling me we can't be friends anymore, my property can be rented out, just like I would rent it out to maybe another person. I get to choose someone that's going to be here, which you will pay for, to be security for the home that I'm not allowed to be in because you've decided you're not comfortable there. But this shit ain't free anymore. Gravy train is getting cut off.
And payment will be accepted up front. Please and thank you.
Up front. Yeah, with the security, hefty security deposit too.
Yeah, because insurance.
Insurance, yeah. Porta potties, you guys aren't using the main house. Can't use the main house. What are you going to do in there?
I wonder how big the wedding is.
It's that, I think they said pretty small. But either way, I would not be comfortable with someone who wouldn't invite me out and doesn't want to be friends with me anymore in my home. In my home getting ready.
Yeah.
What if they try to consummate the marriage in your own house that you're not allowed to be in?
Okay.
Hey.
All right.
It's their wedding day. They're allowed to. Okay, so the big question is the poster an asshole for not allowing this wedding to happen on his property?
Absolutely not. He's standing his ground. This is unacceptable friendship treatment from Carla. I do think Carla, like, if she had these lingering feelings for OP, that friendship should have ended.
Yeah, for sure.
And she should not be asking OP to use their property as a venue. This is weird, actually. This is very bizarre, considering that she still had feelings for him recently.
Yeah.
I think Rick should dip out or pump the brakes.
You've just started marriage counseling. Why don't you see that through? Why don't you see it through?
See how you feel 6 months later.
Yeah.
A lot of red flags here.
A lot of red flags. Either way, not the asshole.
No. There's multiple assholes. It ain't OP.
It ain't OP.
Declared.
A lot of wild takes in that one.
Whew, sure was. All right, here's the next one. Am I the asshole because I told my best friend to break up with his girlfriend? Spicy. So, I have a friend that I have known for over 10 years. We've been through some serious shit together, so our bond is very close. As we know, men don't really talk about feelings and their struggles easily, especially in our country. But he trusts me enough to tell me almost everything he endures. Thus, I know a fair bit about his relationship and other problems in his life. A little over a year ago, we went to a big party together and he met a girl. I saw how he was acting around her, so I know he liked her. She kissed him when they were saying goodbye. The day after, he told me that he likes her personality, but he didn't find her physically attractive. She wanted to hang out that evening, but he wasn't sure. I told him I want him to go. He asked me if I wanted to hang out that evening too, as we were hanging out during the day. I told him I wasn't going to hang out with him, even though I didn't have any plans as he knew. I told him, "You're going to hang out with her that evening." So, bossy.
Yeah.
Fast forward a bit, he told me that I was right and that he started to find her physically attractive too. Now, the problem that occurred is the following. His girlfriend had some serious issues, like past relationship traumas. I know this is not a reason to end a relationship. Where it started to turn into a problem is when he started to gain some serious issues. I see him gliding down, and I am worried that he's going to fall off further. Ever since he got with her, he's being more and more depressed. He asks me for advice quite often. I am not sure what to say anymore. Last night, I told him how I really feel about the relationship. It's not the girl that I don't like. The opposite. But am I the asshole for telling him he needs to break up with her? I just don't want to see my boy being this down. Anyone have some advice for me? Is interfering in a relationship bad, or is it okay?
Oof. It's hard because he kind of pushed his friend into this relationship to begin with.
Yeah. That's kind of my thing, is like you forced him to hang out with his girl solo. Like you kind of pushed them together here.
Yeah. And now he doesn't like how the relationship is impacting his friend. And so now he's trying to convince him to not be in a relationship, which is really hard advice to hear. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've never had friends that I can recall in adult relationships be like, you guys need to break up. I have been in relationships that were not good and were bad for my mental health. And when I was in that state, I concealed a lot of information from my friends, but I'm sure the signs were there. And quite honestly, I don't know how I would have handled anyone during that time telling me, you guys should probably break up. Why are you together? This is like bringing out the worst in you, because you can't hear it until like you're really ready to get out of it.
That's the thing. It's like, I know I've been in situations where like I knew things weren't going to last, but it's really hard coming to terms with it and deciding to do it, how you're going to do it, all of those things. When someone tries to push you before you're ready, you're not going to respond well. It's not going to go well.
Mm-mm.
The friend is overstepping in that situation.
Right.
Friends are there to support you and guide you. I don't think it's ever okay for someone to just say, you need to break up with this person.
No.
You're overstepping.
It is an overstep. And it's also unfair to attribute his current mental state directly to his relationship.
100%.
Right? I mean, it could be that maybe something that she's endured in her past and something they talk about in the relationship has brought out that side in her, or maybe it's draining him to be an emotional caretaker for his girlfriend. But it doesn't sound like the friend is really sure that that can be pinpointed as the reason. It could be coincidental that he's going through a bout of depression, which sometimes is not always brought on by your direct circumstances that you can actually see. So are you really sure that him not having a girlfriend would benefit his mental state where he is right now? Do you know what I mean?
There's way too many variables. There are so many things that could be making this friend feel depressed. Whether or not it's the girlfriend, I don't think it's fair to put that all on her just because he's saying she has baggage. First of all, everyone has baggage.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
And maybe there's some stuff in the relationship that is triggering to him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also on him. He needs to figure out how to address that with her. You handle those issues within the relationship. Like, you can't go to your friend every time without talking to your partner.
Right.
I get it, needing advice from your friend sometimes, and that's okay. But my relationship with Seth, for example, I don't talk to anyone about the kinds of arguments we have until like we've gotten to the other side of it.
Right.
Like, maybe I'll talk to my friends about it later, but we need to figure this out for us. And friends don't get to have input for that, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think if you really are worried about the wellness of your friend, then you need to do something we always say, and that's create a soft place to land.
Classy commandment number 1.
It is the number 1 classy commandment. And show him psychological safety. Give him resources. The best way you can be there for your friend is saying, hey, have you thought about seeing a counselor? Are you talking to someone outside of your relationship? Have you examined maybe getting on medication to help you handle the day? Even just like creating opportunities to do things together. Like, hey, why don't you and I start going on hikes? Why don't we start running? Let's train for this marathon. Like, do other things that are going to create new support pillars in his life. So that way, A, he's not solely relying on this relationship, maybe as a source of mental wellness, even though it could be creating an unstable environment. But you're also showing love and support in another way that could make the friend pull himself to a point where he realizes, oh, I don't think I'm in a good relationship. And he comes to that conclusion on his own when he's ready.
Right. OP does not have the certification to provide these kinds of opinions.
Mm-hmm.
You can't save your friend from learning their own lessons.
Mm-mm.
I don't know how old these guys are, but we have to learn our own lessons. And friendships are there to support you while you learn them.
Yeah.
You can't just be saying, like, you need to break up with this girl. Like, it really doesn't even sound like he has a great reason why.
Yeah.
It's not like she cheated on him or she's treating him like shit. He hasn't said anything negative about the girlfriend, actually.
No. In fact, he says he likes her. So I don't know. I think OP is misguided in trying to control his friend's life, quite frankly, relationship, who he's attracted to, he's not attracted to. And I'm sure he has all the best intentions, but output equals asshole.
Yeah, I do. I agree. I think, OP, you're kind of an asshole.
And that's okay. But you can learn from this.
I get it. You don't want to see your friend hurting. But like you said earlier, Deborah, it doesn't necessarily mean the girlfriend is the one causing this hurt.
Right.
So, a little presumptuous.
Well, presumptuous, my guy. Okay?
Yeah. So, asshole. Declared.
All right, here we go. Am I the asshole for saying my friend was totally irresponsible for chasing another car with a kid in his car?
The answer is yes.
The answer is?
No. You're not an asshole. Your friend's the reckless asshole.
Your friend needs rehab.
Yes.
But let's hear more.
Sure.
My friend, 45-year-old male, is going through a divorce and has been under a lot of stress. I, 49 female, only gave this as a backstory because he's normally a pretty chill person. He told me over text that he nearly got into a bad car accident because someone turned left in front of him and he narrowly avoided the crash by swerving. Then he told me in these actual words, I actually busted a U-turn and chased after that bitch, knocked on her door and she drove off. Then I chased her again. She finally pulled over into a driveway and I fucking ripped her a new one. Road rage. While this seemed unhinged, I didn't think much of it because it's not like I haven't had road rage before, and he was under a lot of stress. So I just replied, wow, seems like a lot of rage, no? He then proceeded to tell me that it was justified because he had his kid in the car with him. I was absolutely shocked. I asked him if he was nuts. Then I said he was insane and he had lost his mind. He then claimed he thought there had been contact and that's why he was trying to stop her, which is not what he said before. I said, you're in a car chase with your kid in the car over a dent? I said, you weren't in a crash. You put your kid in further danger and you're totally irresponsible. I said, you chased her because you were mad and you wanted her to know that. You're mad because your life is fucked up. But that isn't the way to get back at the world. He got super mad and said I wasn't there and didn't know how serious it was and that I was judging him. Then repeated that he thought they had made contact. And then I said, I don't even know who you are anymore, and stopped texting. The next day, I thought about it and realized I might be an asshole for commenting on something that had nothing to do with me and didn't affect me in any way. I also didn't support him when he said how freaked out he was, and he really thought he was going to crash. I said some pretty shitty things about his situation and why I thought he was angry at the world. Am I the asshole?
Okay, this is tough because I understand her concern and the reason for her reaction. However, like, she understands his current situation and there could have been like a lighter way to address it so that he could come to the conclusion himself of how reckless it was. Because there's no doubt that was reckless.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's saying he thought they'd made contact just to make it seem less shitty. Because you know if you've made contact with a car.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, I've used this example before. If that were to happen in Texas, you have to assume at all times that someone has a gun.
Right.
And to have a kid with you in that kind of situation, like, you're putting that innocent child in danger.
You're putting that child in danger and you're also exposing them to extreme road rage.
Yeah. And we don't even know how old this kid was.
Right. We don't know how old the kid is. But it doesn't matter because at any age, you are probably disciplining your kid for having a tantrum, blowing up, doing something stupid. And yet you're modeling that behavior.
Yeah.
When you drive recklessly and you're showing him how to treat women almost. You know what I mean? Like the second he realized it was a woman, to put her in such a scary situation. If I'm driving and I accidentally, because we've all made mistakes, right? We've all turned when we were not supposed to turn. We've all ran a red. We've all done these things that are dangerous and stupid in hindsight. And I always know in those moments like, oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. You know?
Yeah.
And if a man chased me down with his car,
terrifying,
and got me into a driveway and pounded on my window and said those things to me, I would be terrified. And if I looked and saw that man had a kid, that would become one of the most dangerous people to me because he has no discipline. He has no control of his actions.
Yeah.
And so I think this story is an interesting dynamic because it's a male-female friendship, right? So the poster is tapping into those feelings of like, that is a terrifying situation for a woman to be in. You know, I don't know if she's a mom, but maybe she has those motherly instincts of like, you got to protect your child. So I understand her initial levels of emotion that she had when she heard this story. But is it okay to call your friend out in that moment like that?
I think it's okay to call them out. I just think she could have been a little more sensitive to his situation and like lead with love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, listen, I love you. I know you're a great person. I know you're a wonderful father. You were very reckless in this situation. And I just need you to acknowledge that.
Yeah. And if you even want to be even more sympathetic, empathetic, lead with curiosity, right? This is why cops can be so successful because you just kind of ask the same question in ways that make someone start to question why they did something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow, so did she hit you or did she not hit you? So you don't know if she hit you for sure? Okay.
Did you check the car?
Did you check the car?
Did you pull over and take a look?
Do you think your kid heard what you said to her?
Definitely saw it.
Right. Did you at least get a chance to talk to your kid after and kind of explain why that happened? Do you think she got your license plate? Are you worried about her reporting you? Right? Like, I would just ask a lot of questions until I think my friend would hopefully on his own realized what he did. And if he didn't, after like a day, if I were to hear him like almost gloating about the story,
yeah,
then I would be like, okay, you know what? You're on another level.
Yeah, he was gloating in the beginning there.
Mm-hmm. He definitely was.
And I would say, like, it's her job as a friend to help him realize how fucked up that was on multiple levels. But, like, I understand her reaction to kind of just be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Right.
Because, you know, with the kid involved, like, that's so dangerous. Like, I understand.
Right.
But, like you said, take a breath
and
know that there are other ways to address this where he can still, you know, process those thoughts and come to the realization that, oh, wow, I really, really fucked up here.
Right.
But instead, he got defensive because she's attacking him while he's already in a tough mental state.
Well, and I do agree with him in the sense that she weaponized a vulnerability against him. And we just talked about this last episode when we talked about, you know, would you still be friends if someone weaponized their vulnerabilities against you? She knows he's going through a divorce. She knows how painful that is for him. And to say you're only acting like this because you're mad at the world because of what you're going through.
It's not fair.
It's unfair to kind of bring that in, even if that is exactly why this is happening. Like, you can't have that kind of conversation so fresh after the incident because all someone is going to be is defensive.
Right. And, you know, he reached out to OP because it sounds like he trusts her. And to get that reaction from your friend, that's rough.
Well, we do have an update.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me read it. Hi, everyone. Thank you for your valuable insights. I guess I am actually being too nice to him. I just felt bad about his divorce and child custody battle since I'm his friend, but I realize now that the whole scenario is totally out of line. It has caused me to think back on other things he's done in the past. And there's kind of a pattern involving a failure of emotional regulation.
Oh.
I did take your advice to heart about reporting this to his wife. What? But I don't know how to do that anonymously, and I fear that this will put me in danger if he finds out that it was me, so I'm unlikely to act on this. Thanks for all of your thoughtful responses. Okay, well, this changes things.
I'm in shock. I didn't read any of the comments. Oh, God, were we being too gentle?
Are we being too gentle? Okay, you know what? I knew better than to agree with a man that yells at a woman and calls her a bitch. And so I now feel foolish for being so defensive. Now, I will say.
Well, she led with he's normally chill. That's what I was going by, is like this was out of character for him.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's saying it's not out of character.
Yeah.
So I blame her for misleading us.
Yeah, you know what? You are a deceitful asshole is what you are.
Yeah, thanks a lot, OP.
Okay, so now we know he has a pattern of behavior. I think conveying this to someone who's going through a divorce and custody battle is a very dicey situation.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you truly fear for the child's well-being. And then I would say, yeah, the more information, the better. But, oh man, that just makes things so messy. I just think at the end of the day, these two friends need to take a break and this guy needs to sort his life out because clearly he has a lot of anger issues and he seems a little unstable to be around. I think the way that she went about talking to him in that moment teeters on the line, asshole, but it sounds like this guy maybe is one.
Fucking hell. Yeah, like what a twist.
What a twist.
But again, she it was in the second sentence. He's normally a pretty chill person.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I was reading this as this was completely out of character for him.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, she's saying that's the opposite. I'm confused now.
You know, upon reflection, nobody goes from I'm always a nice guy to I'm hunting someone down and cornering her in a driveway and pounding on a window and calling her a bitch.
I mean, we don't know why he's going through a divorce. We don't know what happened. We don't know if his wife cheated on him, left him for another man, is pregnant with other man's child. Like, it could be so many things. And I'm not making...
Or she was like, he had anger issues and I needed to get out.
Which friends should have mentioned this? We need that information.
Right. We need that information, you guys.
We're taking this at face value. And now she's backtracking. And that's why I had the opinions that I did. But yeah, if he has a history of anger issues, this is completely different situation.
Totally different. So my final ruling is not the asshole for putting him in his place, but are the asshole for the way you worded this original post.
I agree. Was misleading. And now I don't know if I even trust you.
No, you're unreliable narrator at this point.
Yeah. So declared. Everyone sucks.
Everyone sucks here.
All right. Last story. Am I the asshole for bailing on my best friend's birthday dinner because I got a better invite? Damn. Why'd you have to phrase it like that? Shit.
I know.
I, 26 male. That's why. You're in your mid-20s.
Yeah.
I, 26 male, have been best friends with Jake, 27 male, since high school. We've always been tight, and I'd say he's one of the most reliable people I know. Jake's birthday was last weekend, and he planned a low-key dinner at a local restaurant with a few close friends. I RSVP'd yes weeks ago and even helped him pick the spot. He was really excited because he's been going through a rough patch, recent breakup and work stress, and wanted a chill night with his core group. The day before the dinner, I got a last-minute invite to a concert from Sarah, 25 female, a coworker I've been crushing on for months. It was a band I've been dying to see, and she had an extra ticket because her friend bailed. She made it clear it'd just be the two of us, and I saw it as my shot to get closer to her. The concert was the same night as Jake's dinner, and I knew I couldn't do both. I decided to go to the concert and texted Jake a few hours before his dinner, saying I was feeling under the weather and couldn't make it. I didn't mention the concert because I didn't want to hurt his feelings. The concert was awesome, and Sarah and I had a great time. Definitely some sparks there. But the next day, Jake found out through a mutual friend's Instagram story that I was at the concert. He called me out saying he was really hurt that I lied and ditched his birthday for some girl. He said it was a small gathering, so my absence was super noticeable, and he felt like I prioritized a potential date over our friendship. I apologized and explained that it was a rare opportunity with Sarah and the band, but he's still mad. He said I could have been honest and that bailing last minute made him feel like he doesn't matter to me, especially when he's been down lately. My other friends are split. Some say I'm a jerk for flaking on a best friend's birthday. Others say I'm allowed to pursue a crush and Jake's overreacting. I feel bad, but I also think it's not that big of a deal since it was just a dinner and we can hang out another time. Plus, I didn't want to miss my chance with Sarah. Am I the asshole for choosing the concert over Jake's birthday dinner and lying about why?
There's a lot of layers to this,
So many layers. First of all, never lie to your best friend.
It's the lying to me is really the decision
that's the biggest thing here.
Yeah, turns all of this on its head, because had he gone to his friend and said, hey, I know that you wanted to get together tonight and I really want to be there to support you. I have this very rare opportunity to pursue a girl I've been crushing on and see this band. And the band thing is kind of the one-time opportunity and she has an extra ticket to go. Like, can you and I schedule something else? Like, would you mind if I missed this dinner or do something after?
Give your friend the opportunity to be a cool friend.
Yes.
And be like, dude, go get it. Yeah, we can totally hang out another time.
Right. Because like in Good Will Hunting, your friends might be like, gotta go see about a girl.
Mm-hmm.
They might be able to see that, you know what? I know how he feels about this person. I'm going to go ahead and bow out and allow him the opportunity to pursue this. But it also could have given his friend the opportunity to hear his friend in need say, I really need you there for me, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been the choice that the friend would have had to make. Instead, he gave no one a choice by lying.
Nope. He made a selfish decision. And he lied because it was easier to get what he wanted that way.
Right. Outed by Instagram, though. I mean, why are you even getting in the picture? If you are lying about where you are, if you're going to lie about where you go, you got to go do not disturb mode.
Yeah.
All the find your friends off, no pictures. You got to commit to the bit.
Yeah. You're being a shitty friend.
Mm-hmm.
All around. But also, like you were saying, like being honest with a friend, but giving them the opportunity to say how important it is that you be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to go tell Sarah, I want to go to this concert so bad. I would love to hang out with you, but my friend's going through a tough time and I got to be there for them. And you know what? Sarah's probably going to think like, wow, what a great friend. This guy seems pretty cool.
And in that situation, maybe he could have had both. Because, dinner is, I'm going to guess like 7, maybe 8. Concert's not even going to start until later. So he could have been like, I'm going to go have dinner with my friends and, can you leave the ticket at will call? Or maybe you and I can catch a drink after the show. You could have had it all. But because you lied, and if I'm Sarah and I find out, like, yeah, I was supposed to hang out with my guy friend. He's been having a hard time, but I'd rather be here with you. Red flag city. I don't like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that.
Mm-mm.
Like, oh, you're kind of a shitty friend and you only make decisions that suit you.
Exactly.
That would make me concerned about how he might handle our relationship once he gets, settled in, has what he wants, and then he's going to give other things priority, I'm sure.
Or just like now you're like, oh, you're a liar.
Yeah.
Because you've just lied.
And a flake.
Yeah. I mean, to me, there's like no real way around this. You're betraying a friend who needs you. This is not just like he wanted to hang out. We always hang out on Fridays. It's no big deal. Like your friend specifically said he needed you. And then he found out you lied to him. Like if I'm the friend, I need a serious break.
Yes. This is the biggest betrayal. It's the lying part.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could have still made the decision not to go, but your friend deserves the truth.
Right.
And yeah, you are the asshole.
Yeah.
And you owe your friend a sincere apology and you better work your ass off to make it up to him. Like this is your best friend.
Right. Not anymore. Tell you that much. Downgraded.
You don't do this shit to a best friend, man. You don't.
Mm-mm. No, you really don't.
You need to get your priorities straight, buddy.
Right.
Like, if it's meant to be with Sarah, you'll have other opportunities to hang out with her.
Mm-hmm.
Ask her out on a date. Don't be a little wimp.
Yeah, take charge of the situation, you know?
Yeah.
This guy has no spine. I say asshole.
100%. Declared.
Declared.
All right. Lots of assholes today.
A lot of assholes.
Yeah. Whether or not it was the OP, like, there's still some big assholes happening.
Yeah.
Wow. So much drama. It really gives me perspective in my own life. That's for sure.
I know. Drama-free life.
I don't miss that part of my 20s. I'll tell you that.
I really don't.
No. Comes out like that's a totally normal thing to happen
Mm-hmm.
in your mid-20s.
For sure.
Okay. Moving on to our class act of the week. This is where we highlight a person, a thing, an event, or parasocial relationships that we deem classy. And this week is Deborah's turn. What you got?
Well, mine is parasocial this week, but I feel like it's a good thing to highlight, especially in today's world where, you know, people get canceled and discarded so easily.
Yeah.
And I came across some guy on my feed who, his name is 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀. You can follow him on TikTok. And he just got out of prison. I believe he served 16 or 18 years.
Whoa.
And I don't know what he did. And quite frankly, I don't want to know what he did. All I know is that he served his time and he got out of prison. And he was documenting his process of going on an interview and getting his very first job as an adult, because I'm assuming he went to prison like probably right after he turned 18. And he got a job at like a granite cutting place, like probably a place where they make countertops and things like that, interior design. And it was his first interview and he got the job. And he was so excited. And he's been documenting all of these things that come along with it. You know, like he still has to see his, you know, corrections officer, and he still has to have mental health checks, and, you know, he can't drive yet. And so he has to take the bus. And he's just so excited for all of it. Like he was using phrases like, I get to take the bus to work today. And like, I get to work a full 8-hour shift. And like, I get to train. And he's just so hopeful for this new chapter in his life after serving the majority of his adulthood behind bars. And I fear for him because someone is going to probably look up what he did, and someone is going to make a hot take video of why we shouldn't be cheering this guy on because he did this. And to me, I just think we all need to remember the power of redemption. I truly believe that anybody can be redeemed if they take accountability and they quite literally do the time. And for me, he just is a strong example of, you know, life sometimes comes at you. You make mistakes. You're not always the hero. Sometimes you're the villain, but it doesn't have to define you. And so he is my class act of the week. I literally got like emotional watching his first video because he just was so hopeful. And it really just reminded me that, you know, everybody can earn a second chance to turn things around.
Well, and I'd also add, like, you know, we don't know why he was in prison, but I think people often get wrongful sentencing.
Right.
Like,
right.
He might have done something that did not deserve 16 years. What's his race?
Hard to tell.
I don't mean to make it about race, but
I'll tell you this much. It might not even be a race thing as much as it is a class and a caste thing. Because the majority of people go to prison because they cannot afford representation. And the majority of public defenders are highly incentivized to settle and accept a sentence. Because if every single person who was accused of a crime went to trial, the entire criminal justice system would collapse. This is a fact. And so the majority of people who are spending time in prison are in there, not only maybe because of the crimes they committed, but because they didn't have access to someone who knew the law, someone who had access to say, yeah, this may have happened, but the police tampered with evidence, or you don't have evidence, or that was a bad witness.
Right.
And you get caught up in this system, and it's so hard to get out of. So I really, really am rooting for Kevin. I hope he stays on the up and up, surrounds himself by the right people, and can really turn his life around.
And congrats on the new job, Kevin.
Congrats on the new job.
We're proud of you.
We are. You're classy.
Yay! Okay, moving on to our final and favorite segment, Class or Crass. This is where we give a scenario and discuss whether or not we find it classy or crassy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for today's scenario, Deborah?
I am ready. Hit me.
Okay. You quietly distance yourself from someone for your peace. No drama, just boundaries. Your friend knows this, but still invites that person to a party you're going to without telling you first. Her excuse? I don't do sides. I figured you two could handle it. Is that classy for staying neutral? Or crass because neutrality isn't loyalty?
It's the not telling you first part for me.
There's that, but also it's your friend.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine, you don't do sides, but I don't know, you kind of do sides in a friendship.
Right. Like, that's not being neutral. You have kind of covertly created a chaotic environment for both people, right? Like, the other person might not be comfortable hanging out with this person either, you know?
Yeah. Well, and, in this scenario, we don't know if it's an ex-partner or just a friend that you don't get on with, and maybe this friend throwing the party does, but they still owe you a conversation
right
beforehand.
Yeah, you should have the opportunity to say, oh, so-and-so is going to be there. Yeah, I'll come later. Like, I'm not comfortable being around them just yet. Like, to show up and now you're like, what are you going to do? Leave? And now you've made it a thing.
Yeah.
Everybody can feel tension in the room in those moments too.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you would want to create that environment anyway.
Yeah. Well, and there's other ways to be neutral.
Mm-hmm.
You owe this friend a conversation at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can invite whoever you want. It's your party. But if you know that me and this other person have issues, fucking tell me. Just tell me.
Yeah.
Give me the choice.
Give them the choice. Absolutely. So I do understand it is hard being the middleman, right?
Sure.
And if you're the middleman and someone who's quietly pulled away from someone and there's not like an inciting event where someone is clearly in the wrong, they just no longer get along anymore, that is hard because you don't have that like concrete piece of evidence to be like, oh, I don't want to be around them either. So it can be challenging to be in that type of situation. And I understand maybe the discomfort or just maybe the ignorant hope that, well, this is a big house. I'm sure everything will be fine. But at the same time, like, you've now created drama where drama didn't need to exist by just not disclosing it. And you got to wonder, like, well, did you tell him or her that I was going to be there? Like, does nobody know what's going on? Am I the only one that wasn't told? Like, I personally would probably go down that rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
And that wouldn't feel good.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So I think there is a classy way of staying neutral, and that classy way would be informed consent and communication.
Communicate, yeah.
Creating different opportunities to see them both, and also not inserting yourself in the drama. If you're going to stay neutral, that means you don't tolerate the other person talking bad about your friend and vice versa. That's really how you stay neutral. But just saying like, I'm out of this, you guys deal with it, is not neutrality. It's avoidance.
Yes. I think you can remain neutral while still respecting your friend's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel is missing here. Like, there's a lack of respect. And maybe the person throwing the party doesn't see it that way. But that's kind of what it is. Like, you don't care that I'm trying to protect my peace here. Like,
right.
Just let me know. Invite this person, fine. But I'm owed a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know about this situation. I just think it's shitty.
Yeah, I do too. So I would say this is crass the way it was handled.
Yeah, there's a classy way to handle it, and it's communicating with your friend.
Mm-hmm. Just be open. That's all we ask. That's all we've ever said.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps it up for today. 4 stories, 4 disasters, and a lot of questionable decision making.
What we've learned today, boundaries are classy. Lying is not. And if you uninvite someone to your wedding, maybe don't ask to use their backyard.
We want to hear what you think. Were these people actually assholes or just misunderstood?
Send us your takes at artofclassiness@gmail.com or hit us up on Instagram and TikTok at Art of Classiness.
Thanks for listening. And remember, classy is a state of mind.
So mind your classiness.
Bye.
Bye.